even though this life gets tough, said you gotta keep fighting. And even though it gets hard, it's gonna get hard. You gotta keep striving. But you gotta keep striving. Through the fears and the loss, but the tears won't turn off. No tears, your heart's crying. Hold on to his words. Lean on him. It gets better.
The toughest war you ever face will be domestic. It's elementary, it's been this way for centuries. Cold War was raised against us. Take off them blinders, you will see. That it ain't about them gas prices, it's all about who whip the nicest. All about them deals on bundles, Arrow Fleet don't make them up. Face beating red bottoms, dead beats we hear about them. Fitted up from head to toe, but never at their children's door. Wonder why they dying by the dozens, but it's simple, yo. Just listen. It's time we stop ignoring facts. It's time we take our family back. Fix the root and then attack. Stop making moves without a plan. Control emotions, then we stand. Calling on my kingdom and to come together. Take this land. We gotta fight, our future depends. Get the head back in order, cause that's where it begins. Invest your all into your garden, water the roots to the end. Nurture the family tree and let the fruit feed all men. Just listen.
Welcome to another episode of A Mile in My Shoes, where we ask the question, how can we say we know someone if we've never heard their story? Tonight, I am excited. We have a special guest. We got rain and thunder going on outside tonight. That's all right, though. We have a special guest, Miquella Anderson. She has a very powerful testimony. Look, I got to make her comfortable. She's a little nervous. So I want y'all to drop some hearts and get ready to listen to her story. Here we are. How are you doing tonight?
I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Look,
I thank you for this opportunity as well.
Look, I appreciate you being comfortable and brave enough to tell your story. Mm-hmm. Look, get it out to the people and let them know what God has done in your life. And look, I am going to get out of the way. Look, I'm going to facilitate. If they got questions, comments, I'm going to look, I know you got people showing you love already. Look, I'm going to keep the comments rolling. Let us know who you are and where you're from and tell us about your story.
All right. So my name is Miquella. I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan. But now I'm living in Memphis now. Mother of two. My journey has been one of those where it took a lot for me to really learn myself again, to learn who I was. And being in the world lost, feeling like I had my own life figured out. I had my own life planned out the way that I thought it was going to be. And it got to a point where God had to redirect me like, no, this is not what I have for you. And I found myself in a relationship. When I relocated to Memphis, I was in a relationship where I thought that this was my husband. This is where life is going to go up from here. This is where it is. And dealing with that relationship, I dealt with a lot of pain and secrets that people didn't know about. I would always be smiling, but on the inside and behind closed doors, I was like breaking down, tearing apart. That was the first time where I had actually dealt with verbal abuse. The first time where I had actually dealt with mental abuse, where I got to the lowest point in my life, where the same man who tells you he loves you can wish the worst things on you. And I was in a very, very dark place. When I was in that relationship, I lost myself as a woman. I lost my confidence. I felt like I was giving up on life. And I allowed this man to tear me down, to make me believe that I was less than, and I was everything that he was portraying off of the word that he was speaking. I was starting to believe. And it was just like, no matter what I did, I wasn't good enough. No matter what I did, he made me feel like I was just like scum to him. And for the longest, I would just wear a smile and I would cover it because, you know, I was just trying to keep that image and I was steady just praying like, God, please just, change this man or fix it. And God is like, no, I can't do that because this is not the man that I have for you.
Mm.
This is not the man that I have planned for your life.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where I started to see a different side of him.
Yeah.
This is where I started to really get spiritually in tune with God because I started to notice I wasn't just battling this man in the physical, but I was battling him in the spiritual as well.
All right. All right. All right. I get where you're going now. And I know we about to go deep, and this is gonna be a topic that's about to touch a lot of let's drop some hearts for her just being brave enough to come on. But if you ever watch the broadcast, I'm gonna dig. Not intrusive, but I'm gonna dig to pull out that information that that a lot of other women gonna want to know. What are some of the verbal and mental abuse tactics that you may have experienced, but you tried to maybe in those beginning stages? Nah, it's not that. What did that look like for you, for those women that may be in that situation and may be fighting that? Nah, I just be aggravating them sometimes, and
Hmm.
what did that look like for you?
Um, it would just be times where if I wanted to just talk to him or if I just wanted to spend time, it was like he was always shutting me down. In order for him to be able to do whatever it is he wanted to do, he would constantly start arguments or he would try to make me seem like I'm doing something wrong to make him pull away. Like I was always wrong. Like if I cooked dinner, it was, oh, I don't want to eat that. It was just like if he comes in the house and I'm sitting on the couch and he's like, why are you sitting on the couch? I don't want to sit next to you. It was just like things like that. And it was like, no matter what I did,
Mm-hmm.
it was like I just wasn't, it was just like you just you this and you that. It was like you. I was always doing something wrong. I could never do anything right in this man's eyes.
Yeah. Wow. Whew. Continue.
And
Continue.
so it just became to a point where I just was like, okay, I'm praying. And then it was like the cheating,
Mm-hmm.
the cheating on me, the different women.
Yeah.
Um, and when I was finding out he was cheating, that was still my fault too. That was my fault too. You
Look,
know,
you about to help us brothers tonight too. Look, give it straight. Give it straight, man. This is stuff that we all got here to be set free.
yes,
How did that go? Break that down.
as
When
far as
you were
catching
ending
them,
up in situations it was cheating, and then now it's your fault.
yes. And when he was caught cheating, it was always like, well, you shouldn't have been looking, or it was never what I thought it was be what I thought it was when I would find it.
Yeah. Oh.
And it would just be like, you shouldn't have did this and you shouldn't have did that, and yeah, because they better than you anyway. Like whatever
Oh.
it was always just me. And I was always told, well, you're not good enough, and if somebody ever wants to be with you, they only gonna want to be with you just to lay with you. That's all you good enough for. So it was like those kind of things that were said to me. And there was times because I was still so lost and I was still just like so weak minded at the time, I would just cry. Like, how could you say this to me? Why would you say this to me? Why? And he would just like sit there and enjoy the torture. He
Now
would sit there.
tell me this. Did the behavior start in the beginning or it comes after I get you all in love?
Hmm.
I,
It comes after the love bombing, after you've become comfortable, after you've believed everything that they said, after he's got you in his comfort of where he wants you to be.
mm,
Because mind you, I moved away from home. I already knew that I wanted to move and I was going to move away from home. But I had also said that if things did not go right, I knew that I would stay. I
yeah.
knew that I would stay here. But it was like as soon as I got here and we were staying together, it was just like I seen a total different person. He didn't love bomb me. He didn't got what he wanted, and now he's comfortable and he wants to be able to keep doing whatever it is he's doing, and I'm supposed to sit in the back and just be able to accept it. But because I wouldn't be that woman that would keep my mouth closed, as
Yeah.
he would say, he didn't like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And now you're away from family,
Hmm.
and
Away
it's
from
your,
family, away from friends, by myself. And it just got to a point, as like I said, when I started to really realize like it wasn't him, because I remember when I encountered the demon on him, because when I looked in his eyes, it was like the stare that he gave me. And I knew.
yeah.
And I said, okay, I know where this is going.
Right.
And for time being, it was like the verbal abuse and everything just kept going. It just kept going. And again, caught cheating. Me and this woman encounter each other, and somehow, some way, he throws me out the house. And it's a lot of people that'll hear this today that'll never know, because this is something that I carried with me for the time that I've just been carrying it. But where I am now in my life and where my growth is at with God, I'm okay with telling my story, because I know we all are not perfect and we all have our stories.
Yeah.
But I'm not ashamed to say who I am. And I'm not ashamed to say what I went through, because I'm not there anymore. And I have grown. And God has really shown me that He was there to protect me the whole time.
Yeah.
And so it became to a point where He wanted to do any and everything that He can to hurt me. So I went to work one day, and I get to picking my kids up, and we come home, and the locks on the door are changed. So I'm like, I have nowhere to go. I have two kids. Where am I going to go? What am I going to do? This man was so evil, and he just was like, you can't come back here. I'm always, again, because I was the problem.
Yeah.
It's my fault. I can't come in your house anymore. So I'm like, well, I have nowhere to go. So
Right.
it went from he locked me out with my kids to the point me and my children were sleeping in the car.
Oh no, man.
And I remember sitting in the parking lot in the car with my children. And I'm like, can I come in the house? Like, can we come in the house? He's like walking past. Like, he was so evil. So evil. And I started to just really realize, like, why does this man act like this towards me so much? Like, why does he hate me so much? What did I do to this man when all I ever did was try to love this person? But you cannot love a person that is broken and that is still fighting all these other demons himself.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just about to say, let me guess, you're the very loving woman willing to do any and everything for the person she chooses to be with.
Yes, yes, yes. Because despite the cheating that I had found out, I still was trying to stick it out. I still was trying to, because it even became a point where I was like, let's just start praying together.
Yeah.
Let's just start, welcoming God in. But it was just like, oh, I don't know how I think about it. Things like that. So when we were sleeping in the car, then it went from hotel to hotel. I was sleeping in a hotel with my kids. I was, at the time, I still had a job. My job was helping me out. They were able to, help us. I was still working, so I had money, which was a blessing. And from there, I ended up living with a friend. And the whole time that this is going on, he still has all my belongings in the house. So I'm like, okay, at this point, if we're leaving each other, we're separating, and I'm at this point where I'm okay now. I'm trying to get through this.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you can't come in my house. You can't get your stuff. You can't. And so I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? You left me out here with only the clothes on my back.
And see,
You,
it's one thing if you do something to another individual, but then there's kids involved
that's
too.
that's what I said. That's what I was like. You're not just doing this to me. You're affecting my kids as well. So at this point, I'm starting to feel like I'm a failure to my kids. I'm
Right.
starting to feel like I'm a horrible mother, because I have allowed my kids to see this. My kids are not used to things like that,
Right. Right.
But because he was so selfish and self-centered and egotistic that he just thought like, I'm the big bad wolf, I can do whatever I want. She needs me. That was his whole thing. Like, she needs me, because even when I started working, he didn't even want me to work. He wanted me to sit at home. No, because you wanted to have that feeling to say, oh, she depends on me. Because even though I was working, even though I had my own thing, he still would try to say, oh, well, you're a leech, you're living off of me. How am I? If I'm sitting at home and depending on you to take care of me, that's one thing. And so for 7 months I literally tried to fight with this man to get my belongings. Every time he had my stuff hostage in his house, all my clothes, all my kids stuff, everything that I owned and came here with, he had,
Yeah.
and would not let me access it. It got to the point where I had to try to go to the police to try to get help. They were no help. I went to the courts trying to get help, but it was like nothing was happening. So for 7 months, he's got all my stuff, but it was that control.
Yeah.
It was that wanted to still control the situation, wanted to still have control over me, wanted to still have access of what I'm doing. Like, I can be out here doing what I want to do, but she's not gonna be out here doing nothing.
Right.
I'm
Right.
still in control of the situation. So finally, as months went on, I started to get to a better point of healing. I started to really get over it. I was starting to slowly find myself. I was praying more. And then it came to a point where he reached out and he was like, oh, I'm moving out the house, so you can come get your stuff. This
Yeah.
is 7 months later. So when I did go to get my things from the home, when he seen me, it was like he wanted to try to be nice or whatever. But my whole mental was, I just want to get what I got to get and get out, because I don't want to talk. But when he realized that he was not getting what the reaction he wanted, which was conversation or for me to react to him, all of a sudden we're arguing. Like, all of a sudden it's like, you just need to move on. You just, like, he's attacking me, cussing at me, saying everything that he could say to try to bring me down. And I'm like, sir, I'm not here for that. Like,
Yeah.
because he didn't get the response he wanted from me, he was upset.
Yeah.
Because it's like he wanted me to be like, oh, can we work it out? I don't really know till this day what it was, but I just know seeing me walk in there with the strength that I had and not giving him what he wanted, it just tore him up. Like,
It wounded him.
he was not,
It wounded him.
because
Mm-hmm.
he already knew, like, that access you had is done. Once I get everything, you don't have to worry about me ever calling you again.
Right.
You don't have to ever worry about anything,
Yeah.
because it's done. That the longer he held onto my stuff, the more he had control, the more he know that he still had some type of access to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
He knew that he still was in control because he had that.
Yeah.
And so it was just like, once I was able to finally get my things, it was like this burden lifted off of me, because I knew I was finally free from this man, from the torture
Yeah.
that he was putting me through. Because it's like he got a kick out of that, texting him and asking him, "Can I please get my stuff? Can I get my stuff
Yeah.
while I'm at the house? Can I please get my stuff?" It's like he liked that.
That power.
He liked that. Yes, he liked that power, that control to know, oh, she needs me. She can't make it out here. But little did he know, I'm protected by God. So I was still lost in the world. And at the time, I had so called myself trying to still, get into dating, things like that. Um, and as time went on, it took a while to heal from that.
Yeah.
It,
What
it
was
took,
what was that process like? After you go through an experience like that, what did that process look? Where do you even start?
it was,
Do that.
it was the sleepless nights. Um, it was like questioning, like, myself. I lost myself. I
Yeah.
didn't even really know who I was, because I had to remember, I had to get all of that back, because when I was with him, I was so lost, I was so confused, I was just so, like, trying to make this man who's not even worth it love me. I was trying to force this man to see my worth. So coming out of that, I had to find myself again. I had to, like I say, it was the sleepless nights, it was the praying, crying to God like every night, until it just got to a point where I just didn't cry no more.
Yeah.
I didn't cry no more, and I started to be like, I'm okay, I'm okay. And months going in of my healing process, I had actually, I was still working and everything like that, and I had actually ran into this lady. She's on here too. She's watching. She's my purpose coach,
Look,
and
you got a lot of support. Which one is it? Which one is it?
Renee, purpose coach Renee.
Purpose coach. Break that down, man.
So when I met her at the time, I was still kind of like in the world, still trying to, have a relationship with God. So when I met her, she actually had spoke to me, and she started speaking to me, prophesying this whatever God was putting on her heart to tell me.
Mhm.
And so I knew that it was God speaking through her because of the things that she was saying. So from there, I would always just watch her speaking, praying, and things like that. And then it got to a point where we started to talk just one on one.
Mm.
And when she got to really know me, and then that's when she told me, she explained to me like, the gifts that I carry and how I was chosen vessel. But and I'm looking like a what, a who? I carry
Mhm.
what gifts on me? And
Yeah.
when we got to talking about my relationship from the past, and then I realized like, oh, so that's why the attack was on so heavy from the enemy,
Track. Oh
because
yeah.
I didn't know the gift that I carry. But the
Mm.
enemy knew what I carried, but I didn't know. And so from there, it was just like steady trying to build this relationship with God. But again, I was still so stuck on wanting to just still kind of dabble in the world.
Yeah.
And so that was doors that were still open.
Hmm.
That's what those are doors that were like still open there, because when she told me that, when she spoke that to me, I was like, I'm what? Like, no.
I gotta pause you again because, like I said, when we go back to this video, you know how I like to do and breaking down the clips. Now, when you speak of having those doors open, for those who may not know what that means, break that down for a second. Having those doors open.
Having those doors, meaning those spiritual doors, those covenants that you come into agreement with that you do not know. Because you may meet somebody and you don't understand or know the type of spirit that they carry on them. So
Whew,
whatever it is that they have on them, you come
whew.
into agreement with them. Now you have come into agreement. Now you're saying it's okay for your demons to rest in me. It's okay. We got this connection together. And now we are just a hot mess together. So now you carrying your trauma, your spirits that you already got on yourself, along with what they carrying.
Whew.
So when I was messing with my ex, not only was I opening his demons to me, you know, it was like all of that's why I was so heavy. That's why I was so depressed all the time, because I was carrying his stuff on top of my stuff. Then if I encounter another, then it's like you just keep connecting these chains. Everybody is
Mm.
coming into connection. That's why you have to be careful of who you encounter and who you lay with.
Whew. Coach said your trauma and theirs. Yes, indeed.
Yes, yes, yes. I was
Yeah.
carrying all of that trauma that he went through, all them other women he was laying with, all of they mess. Now it was on me. And it was just like, but even still after that, I didn't understand that yet. I still was like, okay, I'm healing. I'm gonna just move on to the next person. And I started messing around with somebody, and then it was like I started seeing these same cycles. So it got to a point where I was just like, you know what? Okay, God broke me down, and I was like, this is it. I said, God, what is it that you need me to do? Because I am tired of these same repeated cycles.
Mm. Them
I
sites.
am tired of these cycles.
Oh, hey, she's saying some key words, man. Hold on again. Break that down. What is it? What is a cycle? Break that down.
So when you're in the same cycle, when you notice that you're repeating the same thing that happened over again, when you're repeating that same heartbreak, when you feeling like the finances are still lacking, when you're feeling like you're still in poverty. Those are repeated cycles. It's not, again, because it's not just the physical, it's the spiritual. Once the enemy gets a hold of you and he locks in with you, he has control. And as long as you keep those connected to you and you do not ask for deliverance, you will continue to carry and you will continue to do the same cycles over and over. I was going through the same heartbreaks. I was running into the same. They was just like things was just always like I seem like I'm doing good, and then I'll be right back at the same thing, the same cycles. And I said, God, what is going on? And I got to a point where I broke down on my knees, like, God, this is it. What is it that you want to say to me? What is it that you want me to know? What is it that I'm about to read your word. Take me in your word. And as I did that, because if people don't know, God does speak.
Oh, yes.
And he took me to the book of Proverbs.
Uh-oh.
So when I went to the book of Proverbs, as I'm reading, and I'm just like, So I'm like, God, is this? It's like as if God took a mirror and said, "Now look at yourself. Look
Proverbs.
at yourself."
Look, the first thing I'm ringing is a dog returning to its vomit.
It's like he just was like, "Look at yourself." Because I even got to the point where I was reading, and I'm just like, God, I'm sorry. God, I don't want to be this anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this. I don't want to be these cycles anymore. I don't want to disrespect you and not please you anymore. I don't want to do the things of the world anymore. I don't want to do what the enemy wants me to do. I want to do your will.
Mm-hmm.
And from that day, it was just like, God, this is it. Cold turkey. I didn't care because I knew that unless I got it right that time, that was it. Because God is like, now
Oh,
that I have shown you, and now that you know, what are you going to do? Are you going to keep on going into this and denying me, or are you really going to say, I love you and I want to be here? And that day, I was just like, God, this is it. Take control. Yes, I'll do your will. I'm here for you. And like I say, some people don't understand that
yeah.
because some people are afraid of stepping out of the comfort of what they know and coming into the unfamiliar. But you make the best decision when you come with God
Yeah.
because He's the protector, He's the friend, the best friend, the mama, the daddy. He's everything that you need and more.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that you need and more. So from there, it just started being more like, okay, now what do I do from here? So I'm thinking like, okay, I'm reading my Bible now. I'm stepping away from things of the world. I'm giving God more time. I'm actually sitting in His presence. I'm learning to just sit in His presence and let God speak to me. And as I'm still having the one-on-one with my coach, and she's trying to like push me to go out there, but I'm like, I don't want to go out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to go out there. Like because you don't ever know. But like she told me today, she said, you don't know, but God does. So I didn't know that this was what God had for me. I
Yeah.
didn't know that God had chose me. I didn't know that God put this special gift in me to be able to speak to people, to be able to help people, to pray. I'm like, me? Because I was always the one that was quiet, shy to myself, behind the scenes. I didn't care to be in a spotlight. Like I was so just to myself. So to know that that was a gift that I had, I was just like, because even growing up and just being around people, it always felt like I always had to force myself to fit in.
Mm-hmm.
Like I never was able to fit in, or it was always as if I was always the last to be chosen, like the last one, and it just like I never understood that.
Yeah.
I never understood that until I really got to know God and my relationship with God. And I was like, oh, that's why. Because God is like, you never fit in because you wasn't supposed to fit in. You were not supposed to be able to sit amongst the crowd because you're going to be ahead.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're going to be above. I have a special gift in you. But until you realize what you have, you're just going to be stuck right here trying to figure it out. So it was like once I stepped into my calling and I start taking it for a ride, I was just like, okay, God, like, wait a minite, like you don't give me no training, no orientation. We just go straight in.
And you already
And
through it. Real life. In real life. Not out of a book.
yeah,
You
God is
lived it
like,
and survived it. Yes, sir. Yes,
God is
sir.
like, I already knew this. I already knew. I was just waiting on you. And that's how God is with a lot of us. It's not that, God is like, I'm waiting on you. I know what
Mhm.
I created you to do. I know who I created you to be. I'm just waiting on you to come in and show up. And so that's
Yeah.
what it was. God was just waiting on me to come in and show up. And even when I was still like praying more in my word and just so for God, it was still like I still felt like nothing was moving.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, God, what is it that you want me to do? Because I'm still feeling like I'm praising, I'm worshiping, I'm sitting in your presence. And I started noticing like I would hear God speaking like, to tell me to speak, but I'll be shy. I'll be kind of like, I don't know if people gonna like this. I don't know if they gonna listen. I don't know what they gonna say. I was still in that part, like worrying about what people had to say instead of really embracing who I am through God. And so it really got to a point where people started just like speaking life to me, like, you can do this, you were made to do this. But again, because I'm still doubting myself and I'm still
Mhm.
doubting the gift that God gave me. So as I started to push more, people were like, slowly like, I like this. It was encouraging and everything like that. And one day I was speaking to this woman and she was praying over me and she literally said, God said, come forth. She said, I don't know what that means for you. She said, but he said, come forth. And I was like, and I just put my head down and I said, I know what it means.
You ever notice this? That those called two roles and positions like that, the enemy does everything they can to kill that voice, man.
Yes.
All
Yes.
those little situations and people you encounter, they all are sent to kill that voice.
Yes.
Because Satan knows that if you ever stand up and speak, his whole
Yep.
kingdom gonna shake.
Yep. And that's what it was. He didn't want me to find the power that I had in myself. Because back when I was still weak and in the world and dealing with my ex, he felt like I got her. I
Mm.
got her where I want her, because she's giving up. She don't, like he felt like he had me. So when I stepped into my calling and really got to really building my relationship with God, I told the devil, I said, well, my fight is a lot different now.
Oh,
I'm not the same woman that you met before. I'm not the same one. And so at some point, even with coming into my calling, it was like I was still tiptoeing in. I was
yeah.
still kind of like, okay, God. And when God was like, come forth, that was it. It was like, you can't hide no more. You can't run no more. I put this gift in you. And it was like, but God, some people are not going to understand because when people know you from your past and they see you where you
Oh,
are now, it's like, oh, what does she think she's better? Or
oh.
who, she didn't used to be like this. But it's not for them to understand because who you do it for is
Mhm.
all that matters. If
Oh.
I'm doing this for God and God tells me that I'm worthy and he tells me that I am the one that's going to speak to his people and he put that gift in me, then that's what I'm going to do.
Mhm.
And I had to get out of that feeling like, oh, well, I need to be sure that they're going to like this. And like, God is like, I don't care. I don't care.
Question for you.
Hmm.
Was it harder overcoming people or overcoming yourself?
I would say overcoming myself. Overcoming myself.
Because after the fight with the people, then you gotta fight you.
Yes.
That's a
I
hard
was
fight.
overcoming myself, just believing that I have it.
Mm-hmm.
Get out of your own way. Just go
Mm-hmm.
with the flow. Just do what God told you to do. Yes. And people who don't understand the spiritual side, who don't understand God, when they're still in the carnal mind, they'll see it a whole different way. So sometimes
Yeah.
it's like it's like talking to a brick wall because they just don't understand. But as long as I know, even if it's two people listening,
Yeah.
as long as I know that I am being obedient and doing what it is that God told me to do, that's all that matters.
All that matters.
That's all that matters. You know, those two people got touched and they got reached, then hey, I did what I was supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because even when you came to me, when you messaged me when we were going back and forth, and I knew it was from God because the video that I commented on was back in March.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you came to me in like June, I want to say. And I said, okay, God. And my purpose was, coach was like, okay, just be obedient. Just
Yeah.
be obedient. And so I'm like, so I was like, I want to do this. And then it was like before then the next thing you know, I'm speaking at conferences. I got my ministry going now. So God was like, I was just prepping you because I already knew what you was about to do. I just need you to say yes when the opportunity comes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you came to me, I said, I know this is nobody but God. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna just go.
Now let me show you how God worked. When I posted that video, when I had the red jacket on, that was just me sitting in the car. Just
Yeah.
the video was going viral. Like it was just everybody was like, "Yeah, I've been through this. I've been through this. I've been through this." And at that moment, I was like, "That's when all of this that's taking place got birthed."
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of people need to tell their stories.
Mm-hmm.
Use this to let people tell their stories. So after it was being built, I was like, let me go back to where it began,
Yes.
to the people who even gave that birth this whole idea, and let me ask the people that commented on it, do y'all want to tell y'all stories? Because that's all of this came from everybody telling their story on the TikTok post. It was like, man, if people knew what I've been through, man, if people knew what,
Yeah.
man, I went through this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all these people, 5,000 and something comments, people saying,
Wow.
tell.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta do something.
Right.
So when I went back, I'm like, if I can get all of those people to come tell the story, Lord knows what would that do. And
Exactly.
you was one of them that answered, man.
Yes. And I was so grateful for
Hey,
that.
God is a trip, man. If you be obedient, though,
Yes. Yes.
he is a
Yes.
trip.
I had to be obedient because I was still trying to just be in my shell. And God is like, no, I built you so much greater than that. I put so much more in you that I need people to hear what you have to say. Use your testimony. And God told me that I was going to be using my testimony to help people, to reach out to people, because that's where my ministry came along.
Yep.
But it was just me really just getting out of my own way and me actually just be believing in myself.
Yeah.
Because I had someone tell me, I think I had someone tell me the other day, and they said, you know, if somebody could have an example of I don't look like what I've been through, it's you. They were like, no matter what you've been through, you always smile, which I did because I always wanted to be able to just what I'm going through. I didn't want to throw off on other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't want people to have to feel my heaviness that I felt
Yeah.
because I've been through a lot. It wasn't even just with relationships; it was with family too. Things like that, like when you feel like you even trying to fit in with your own family,
Yeah.
you know. But for so long, I just always thought something was wrong with me. I
Yeah.
just thought I
Indeed.
was the problem. Like what is wrong with me? Why is it that I'm always doing something wrong? Like I can't ever do nothing right. And it was just like God was like, no, because you were just set apart. You were made different. And
Yeah.
people who don't understand the gift that you carry, even you don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not necessarily you in the physical. Again, it's the flesh. I mean, I'm sorry, it's the spiritual.
Yeah.
It's them, it's their demons seeing what I'm carrying, but I'm not knowing.
Right. Because
I'm not
people know
knowing.
before you.
Huh?
People always know before you do. Please
And
believe that.
I have learned that. I
Mm-hmm.
have learned that. Like, what is it? Like jobs I'm working, or just it will always be like I'm quiet again, quiet to myself. I'm trying to be as nice as possible, but it would be like somebody always
We got a
just
problem.
want to have a problem, and it's like for what? I don't bother nobody. I don't do nothing,
Yes,
and it
indeed.
was just like I don't understand this.
Yes, indeed. That's the life, that chosen life. You better believe.
Yes, 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 and I still like. despite all, I still walk with my head high. I still smile because now I know the love and the grace that God has given me.
Mm-hmm.
If it was not for God, and a lot of people say, oh, if it wasn't for God, no, I truly know if it wasn't for God, I could have been gone a long time ago.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
living with that man and them demons and everything that tried to take me out, I didn't understand because I was sick all the time. I was just not doing well. It was just horrible. I mean, it was even to the point where the woman he was cheating on me with, and one of the women, and I had learned and found out that she was actually even trying to do witchcraft on me.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh
I said, is it real? But you start to just learn these
oh
things
yeah.
as you're growing spiritually. Like, really?
Look, it really gets that deep. A lot of people be like, it ain't even that deep.
Yes, it is. Yes, 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 it
This
is.
spiritual warfare ain't no joke.
Woo, listen,
It's not a joke.
at all, at
People looking
all.
at your pictures on Facebook and got a whole altar built of you.
Yes,
It's
yes,
really that serious, man.
yes, yes. All because of a man. All because she wanted to be in my spot. Listen, you could have that spot.
Mm-hmm.
But because I was covered by God, but because God loved me that much, everything that the enemy thought he was going to do, absolutely not. And that's another thing. When you start to really build a relationship and become close with God, God starts to actually reveal things to you.
Yeah, yeah.
God will start to really show you things. And it's like, God, really? Because it's like sometimes I just sit back and I'm like, wow. And God would just start exposing people, start exposing things. And for a long time, I could sit around people. I can just be in a room and I just be like, something just don't feel right.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand it then. I just didn't understand it, or I could like see things or feel things. Again, I didn't understand it. But when I would talk to people, it would come off like I'm just doing too much. I'm just talking too much. I'm just, but it
Mm.
was like I didn't realize that that was really a gift.
Gifts. Oh yeah.
I didn't
Oh
realize that God had put that in me. But because I've had people say, well, you was with him and you didn't see. No, because I was still in the world with him.
yeah.
I was still connected to him spiritually.
Yeah.
Me and his demons was connected. So I couldn't see what I needed to see then.
Yeah.
But now that I'm come out of that, and now I realize like it was so much deeper than what the physical looked like.
Definitely deep.
If you don't have a relationship with God and you don't really understand it, you'll always be lost.
Yeah.
You'll always be trying to figure out why. Some people, like I say, people are just afraid to speak the truth. People are afraid to just come forth and give it over to God. But I was one of the ones, even out of my whole family, that was just like, this is it.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'll speak my truth. I don't care who likes it, who don't likes it, because the truth shall set you free. And I speak my truth now. God puts me in front of people, and whatever God wants me to speak and allows me to speak, I speak it.
Look, in the time that we reaching, you're gonna have to have that tenacity to be used as a mouthpiece for him.
Yeah.
And it is needed in this time, man. When culture and society is teaching everything, pulling everybody
Mhm.
away from God, you're gonna have to
Yes. Yes.
and you're
Yes.
gonna have to speak.
Yes. I try to
Mhm.
tell like my sisters, everybody, I try to say you have to be able to allow God in your life. You have to be able to allow him in. I tell people all the time, I will pray through, anoint my house. I stand my kids in a line and anoint my kids because I tell the enemy, not over here,
Right.
not over here. And people don't understand it. It's so deep because it's like what it looks like in the physical. That's why you have to get a relationship with God, because once you get that relationship with God, you start to really understand the spiritual parts of it, to the point you will never want to walk out the door or wake up without getting on your knees talking to God. You will never want to not be covered by God, because it's him that covers you. It's him that protects you. The
Mm.
enemy don't care who he takes. He don't care. That's why it's important to keep you, your kids safe and protected under God,
Yeah. And
because the
that's
enemy is coming to kill and destroy.
that time we approaching. Oh, it got to be more than ever.
Yeah.
Every day. all day.
Yes, yes, yes.
Every day, all day. The connections you're making, like you said,
Oh,
the people you choose to be in relationships with, the people you allow around your children, all of that. It's that shit.
yes, yes. And I'm so particular about who enters my home. And if somebody comes over my home, I'm like anointing and praying again because you just don't know what people are carrying.
Yeah,
Even like even when you in these relationships and it's like, oh, he's like this and he's like that. No,
yeah,
it's those demons that they're carrying. It's just spiritual.
yeah.
The enemy don't want happiness. He don't want joy. He don't want people praying. He don't want people talking to God. And some people will be like, I just got this heaviness and I'm just going through life and it's depression. That's because the enemy and you are allowing him to come into your mind. You are allowing him to put those shackles on you. And I always, when I be speaking to people now, I'm like, you're allowing the devil to keep you as a prisoner.
Mm,
Now, I'm not talking a prisoner in the physical. I'm talking a prisoner in the mental. When you're allowing him to keep those shackles, every shackle represents something. When you get that spirit of rejection, that's a shackle that is added on to you.
ooh,
When
that's
you
a
got that trauma, that's a shackle that's added on to you.
that's
Everything that the enemy lies to you about and that you receive and take from him, that's a shackle that he locks. And the only person who was able to take that off of you is God.
mm-hmm.
And I had made a video a while ago on TikTok and I was talking about that, about releasing and letting God, letting go and letting God unlock the key, unlock the locks of those shackles that the enemy is trying to keep on you.
Mm,
Don't let him keep you bound.
yeah,
Because I was that person. I was that person that felt, oh, I'm so depressed. I got anxiety.
yeah.
I'm not good enough, or like every lie that the enemy tried to tell me, I was believing it. So he was keeping me bound with these heavy shackles on me. And then it was just to a point where I was like, God, I can't do this anymore. I need you to take that off. And that's why I try to, teach people releasing it. And so when I like release, it's like I always picture it in my mind, and the spiritual is like someone's laying there with all these shackles on, the trauma, the rejection, the heartbreak, whatever it is that the enemy has done and lied to you about.
Yeah.
And God is coming, and as you're crying and as you're talking to God and you're releasing and you're letting God in, because sometimes we'll be like, God, I need you to release it, but then we playing tug of war. Well, God, I
Mm,
want you to take it, but then you still want to do it yourself. God, I want you to take it, but you won't let it go. And it's like, well, if I let it go, this might happen, and it's okay. When you fully say, God, take it, you have to just let it go. And once you lay there and you just cry out and you say, God, take it, and God will, and I picture it in the spirit of God having this key. And each shackle, as you're crying, as you're praying, as you're releasing, He's unlocking each shackle. So that trauma is lifted up off of you.
ooh,
That rejection is lifted up off of you. That heartbreak is lifted up. Everything that the enemy tried to keep down and keep you bound with, God is unlocking it with the key. He's the only one with the key. And unless you let God in to unlock that, you will be stuck. You will be bound. You won't ever be able to come out of that darkness because you won't let go and let God.
drop some hearts if she drop some
You
hearts if
have to
she's
let
preaching
go.
tonight. Y'all share this live so somebody may be blessed, man.
You have to let go.
I got another question for you.
Hmm.
How much did self-worth play a role in all of this with you, in the choices that you was making?
As far as like when I was back in the world,
With
or
the relationships and the whole nine.
when I look back and think now, I
I
didn't
know
know.
you had a whole different place now. It's like somebody come up to you with that. I can only imagine the response you
I
would give to somebody now if they just.
I didn't understand it then. My To me then, I didn't know my worth. And some women will say, I didn't know my no, I really did not know my worth. I was willing to accept whatever.
Mhm.
I was willing to settle for whatever. I compared myself to other people, to other women. I didn't feel like I was pretty enough.
Mm.
I didn't feel like I was good enough. Like I was just at a place where I didn't really know me. And I thought, well, if you look like this, if you do that, or if you do this for a man, he'll want you. He'll listen. No,
No.
no, because I was that woman. Oh, I do this. I do the way he likes this, and I'm cooking and I'm cleaning and I'm doing it. And God
Yeah.
is like, okay, and that's not your husband, and you wasting your time. So when that heartbreak and that rejection come, and I didn't tell you that this was even your husband, so now it's like we're crying to God, like I'm dealing with this heartbreak. But that's why now I have the ministry that I have to reach out to women who have been in the situations that I've been in
Yeah.
or going through, because I was that woman.
Yeah.
I was her. I didn't know what I was worth. I
Mm-hmm.
walked with my head held down because I didn't feel like I was pretty enough. I didn't think I was worthy enough. I didn't think nobody would love me or
Mm-hmm.
really appreciate me,
Yeah.
because I felt like just in this little box,
Yeah.
until God really opened and showed me, like, you're worth so much more. And as long as you have me first, I'll give you the things that you desire. I will send you that husband, because I was one of those women like, God, I want a husband. And God is looking like, you want a husband, but I'm still over here laying up with this dude. And I'm still
Mm.
connected to all his trauma and my trauma and all his demons. And we just all over here having the whole spiritual connection party, making all these covenants and doors open. And it's like,
It's a connection party.
so it's like,
He said a
God is,
spiritual connection party,
God
man.
is like,
Oh, man, I ain't never heard that one. Spiritual
so God
connection
is like,
party.
how can I make you a wife? You
Oh
have to
my
be a
God.
wife before I make you a wife. You
Hold
have
up,
to
hold
be
up, stop the tape. You have to be a wife
yes,
before I make you a wife.
yes.
I'm gonna need you to break that one down for me.
You have to be a wife spiritually with God. You have to already carry yourself as that wife while you're walking with God, having that relationship with God, keeping God first, allowing God to heal you,
Mm,
allowing him to make you new. I wanted to be a wife, and I know that, I wanted to be a wife, and I'll be a wife one day, but I couldn't be a wife still carrying trauma from my past relationships. I could not be a wife still holding on to spiritual connections and people that are still connected to me. I can't, because once you meet somebody, and if he's not sent from God, so his mess and your mess, now y'all mess clash together. God is like, that's not how I want it. That's not how it's supposed to be. So I had to really like humble myself.
mm,
And I had to get it to a point where God had to sit me alone and put me in isolation,
mm.
to the point I was by myself. And I was literally sitting in my closet, in my prayer closet. And God is like, I need to heal you of your trauma. You
Ooh.
still holding on to bitterness. You still ain't forgave people. You still thinking you about to go this way. You still holding on to stuff. And sometimes we'll be like, well, I didn't forgave them. God is like, no,
You ain't let it
you're
go yet.
still holding on to this. Let me work on you first. Get you together first. Once you are together, then everything that is meant for you will come. I'll send your husband to you. But can I work on you first? Can I grow you first?
And
Can
this
you
goes for us
realize?
brothers too. It goes for us too. It ain't just the wives, man. I'm
Yes,
going ahead and make that clear right now. It ain't just for the
exactly.
wives. That's talking for us brothers too. I'm gonna go ahead and
Exactly.
punch that right there, man.
Exactly. God was like, I have to work on you. Get off, let that trauma go, let that bitterness go. Renew your mind,
Mm,
renew your heart. Know who you are as a woman in God. And then watch how everything flows. So it was like I pictured like I had a spiritual surgery.
mm.
Like God had to lay me on the surgery table, and he had to make everything new again. He had to take that trauma, the heartbreak, everything that I came into connection with that I wasn't supposed to be. God had to take that off.
Yeah.
He had to put a new heart in me. He had to put a new way of thinking in. He had to put a new mind in me. Like everything that I do now, I can't do it unless it's of God. Unless God say it's okay to do this. Unless God say it's okay to go here. Because for so long I was doing it my way. I was doing what I felt was better for me to do. I wanted to do it my way, and God was like, I can't do that. You have to allow me in. And that's why when I speak to women now, like I have my ministry, it's called Women Who Pray. That's the shirt I have on.
Somebody type that. Somebody type that. Everything.
Yes.
Need a comment. Whoever's with it that knows, I need y'all to type this for me. Go ahead. Oh,
So it's womenwhopray.com. And basically it was something that I formed because I wanted to be able to outreach women who have been through the same things that I've been through.
Yeah.
Women who are still going through, women who have lost the sense of hope, trying to find their way back to God, feeling lost in the world. I mean, any and everything, being that friend or sister that they need, that they can talk to and pray without any judgment, where they feel free.
Yeah.
And since I have started my ministry, I actually have women who have reached out to me. I actually have like booked and busy schedule now. And the women that I have encountered, and they're just like, so grateful. They tell me how much they appreciate me. Like, it's such a blessing to be a blessing to someone else.
Womenwhopray.com. Wow. So God birthed out a whole ministry from this, man.
Yes. Because it was an idea I had back in 2020, but originally when I started, it was called I once was battered, but now I'm better.
Mm.
So but at that time, God couldn't really use me how he wanted because I was still walking in the world.
Yeah.
So once I fully submitted to God and walked in God's light, and now that I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing with God, it's like, okay, now you can go. Now you can speak to my people. Now you can do what I need you to do, because now I know I can trust you when you go out here.
Ooh, that's deep. That was for the mature saints right there. Yeah, man. Yeah. I don't know you.
I know. Yes.
You can
Because
trust.
God is like, if I would have sent you out here, no. You
And then
can't bring
he don't want us spewing all that unhealed stuff on other people.
Exactly.
He got to clean all that up out of us before he allow us to go put it on somebody else, man. That's true.
Exactly. So it's just very it's a blessing. And some of the women who reach out to me, it's just like some of them God has already had me speak to them. And when I speak to them, they'll tell me like, I know that you're really hearing from God.
Yeah.
They're like, I know that you're hearing from God because the things that you say only I talk to God about, or I've only wrote in my journal, things like that. That's why even when I first got into it, I was just like, God, like, wait a minute, you didn't even tell me, like,
right.
Like, you didn't give me a warning sign. You just said go out there, and I was just like, wait a minute. But God is like, yeah, because I knew once you said yes and you were really ready, I was putting you to work. It was time to go to work. When you kept running,
yes,
and that's all. But listen, when you say yes to God, be sure that you are ready to come with and go with whatever comes with it. It is not going to be easy saying yes to God, because I said yes to God, but the devil was mad.
Oh, yeah.
So the attacks was coming from here, from there, anything that he could do to throw me off my square, to make me want to shut down and be like, you know what, I can't do it. Because he tried it today. And I was feeling like, you know what, I don't really know if I want to speak. I was like, and I thought about it, and I said, no, that's just the enemy.
Yeah.
That's the enemy, because he's mad, because he don't want me to speak. He wants to muzzle our mouth. Like, he don't want you to tell the truth. He don't want you to reach people. He don't want to be, they don't like to be exposed.
We are overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the power of our testimony.
Yes.
You knock down walls by telling your story.
Yes. And that's what he don't like, because behind the scenes, he could tear me down with that.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I was kind of scared. Like, I don't know if I really want to tell this story. I don't know if I really want to do this because, I know people that are going, and I was just like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care because I know who I am now.
Who and see once you know who you are,
Oh, yes. Once
that's
God
the
shows
problem.
you and you fully walking into it and you're really doing everything that you're supposed to do, listen. And it's going to be okay when you can't sit at the table with certain people no more. It's going to be okay when you can't sit at at the table with certain family no more, because you have to look at it of who you're doing it for.
Yeah.
And I was so hurt because I was always like, you know, my own family, things like that, or a friend that I trusted. And it was just like, God was like, but it's okay because you got me.
Yeah.
And I remember when God told me, He told me that I had learned the lesson. He said, you learned your lessons with the counterfeits. He said, and I am going to send divine connections. So, so when I heard divine connections, I said, oh, and from there, I've been met with people who are in the kingdom with God, who are servers just like I am, people who push me,
Mm-hmm.
people who believe in me just as much as I believe in myself,
Yeah.
people that I don't even know who are like family now.
Yeah.
Like even with my purpose coach, I call her cousin,
Yeah.
because we like
Coach, what's good, Coach? Cousin Coach.
because we are like, it's like family. God is like, I'm sending you the divine connections. I'm sending you the people that it's okay to sit at the table with.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's okay. And for a minute it hurt because I was like, well, God, God is like, no, because everybody cannot go where you're going, and I understand that. And I know you used to hear that all the time, like people can't, you can't go. It's true.
Oh, it's real.
People cannot. There are certain people that just cannot go where you are going,
Mm-hmm.
because even though sometimes people seem like they mean you good, they don't.
And he knows.
And I have been, I have dealt with it. Like I say, not just with relationship, friendships, family, everything.
And then when I think about it, a lot of times we get chosen to go a whole different path than maybe our families or our,
Hmm.
in order for them to be helped, you have to know that that's gonna come. You're choosing to go a whole different direction. But if
Yeah.
you can continue to be obedient to God, I promise you, when you look back after time, you'll start to see. Look, they coming along slowly but surely.
Yeah.
I promise you,
Yeah.
one yes can save a whole nation of people, man.
Yeah.
And that's what I use to encourage myself anytime those hard times come, whether it be homeboys, friends, or whatever. I'm like, yo, yes, could help a lot of people, man. You just
Yeah.
got to trust God.
You have to. You
Mm-hmm.
have to trust God. If you don't trust God, if you don't have that faith, you have nothing. You
Mm-hmm.
have nothing. And it's one thing to say, I love God and I go to church and I pray from time to time. But it really takes the dedication, and it really takes stepping outside of yourself, allowing God to step all the way in, stepping away from what you're comfortable with, and stepping away from the world and stepping away from the flesh. Because I was one of those people who straddled the fence, and as I say, who played in God's face.
Yeah. Ooh.
Like playing in God's face. I'm going to church, or I feel like, well, I'm praying, but yet I'm still in the world.
Oh, guilty.
I'm still doing what I want to do. I'm
Mm-hmm.
still dealing with this man, or I'm still trying to do, things that God is like, no. When you follow me, I need all of you. I don't want half of you. I need all of you, because when God moves in your life and he takes you to where he wants to take you, it's only up. I mean, when I gave God my yes and I started walking with him and trusting him, it was to the point where he was sending people out of nowhere to just bless me. And I was just like, God, what? Like people I didn't even know. I didn't even know. They were just coming out of nowhere, like, I just want to bless you. And
Yeah.
I was just like, God, this is nobody but you.
Yeah.
And once you are walking in God and you are obedient to God, you only can go up. You
Mm-hmm.
only can go up.
Yes.
If you feel like I'm following God, but it still seems like, because you got to let it go and let Him all the way in.
All or nothing, man.
Because I was one.
Look, all or nothing, man.
I was playing in God's face.
I
I
tried
was,
some ever. I'm like, man, I'm gonna do a strong 80-20. I mean,
but we've all been there.
95,
We've all and that's why I
all
like
of that.
to speak my truth, because I want people who maybe don't fully know God, or kind of skeptical about, I don't know if I should go to church. I don't know if I should talk to God. I don't know if I should pray. I always want people to see the real,
Yeah.
because you have people that are in the church, or people who, talk they believe God, but they always want to portray it like they ain't never made mistakes before.
Yeah. Oh no. Mm-hmm.
God will use the most imperfect person to
Mm-hmm.
do what it is that He wants them to do, as long as they say yes.
Yeah.
I was messed up. I was in the world. I was doing what I wanted to do. I was all over the place. Like, I was one of those people. And that's why I can speak my truth, because I know where I was. But once I said yes, God was like, okay, so now that you said yes, now look what I can do.
Yeah.
I am God. I am who that I am. I can do whatever. I can move the mountains. I can shut the noise of the enemy. There is nothing
Yeah.
that nobody can do to you when you are connected to God. Being connected to God was the best thing that I ever did in my life. And there's nothing that no one could ever say to me or to make me feel like, well, you can't do. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Everything lies behind that. Yes, man. I promise you.
Yes.
I ran
Yes.
forever.
I,
I ran, I ran forever. I look. I could testify. I could mentor. To everybody. Anything you can consider running, I was doing it.
yeah. Yeah.
Everything. But you just get tired of them cycles. Like
Oh my
I said,
God.
it goes back to what you said at the beginning. Whenever you had enough of them cycles, you'll say yes, man.
Them cycles. Whew, my God. If I knew then what I knew now, I would have came back a long time ago.
But I,
'Cause-
I, I think it's part of like we fool ourselves to believe that we good without that yes. Like
Yep.
and the cycle's gonna stop without me submitting to God.
No. Mm-mm.
I used to call people religious. I used to be like, no, man, ain't like that, man. Oh, I'm singing a different tune now.
Yeah. Yes.
Look, when
Yes.
I'm trying to do it my way,
Nothing but heartbreak cycles, just disappointments after disappointments. Just like, what? Because I even got to a point where I was like, okay, maybe it's just not meant for me to be married and relate. Like, I got to that point. And I was just like, and then the last person that I was dealing with, I was just like, you know what? This is it. This is it. I am tired. Okay. God, have
mm,
your way. Yes, whatever you want, I will do. Have your way. Your will be done for my life,
yeah,
because I cannot do this my way anymore.
yeah,
There's not a day that I don't talk to God. There's not a day where I don't sit aside time for me to sit in God's presence. And people will say, well, I want to hear from God. It's like, I don't hear God. He don't talk, because you don't sit down and talk to him. You go to God and you say, God, I need, God, can you help me? And God is like, I can do all of that.
yeah.
But will you sit with me?
Mm-hmm,
Will you just sit in my presence and allow me to talk back to you? Because
mm,
God will respond. And sometimes it's if it's signs or whatever it is, God will speak back to you. You have to have that intimate relationship with God. I tell people, not me and God is best friends. We
mm-hmm,
are besties. I
yeah,
sit and I talk like how me and you are talking. I talk to God the same way. I'll be like, God, listen, I'm your daughter. You already know me. Like, that's how the kind of relationship.
yeah,
Because again, he's that father, he's that friend, that mother, that person that you need, that you don't ever have to worry about betraying you, that you
yeah,
don't ever have to worry about going back behind your back, talking about turning you, leaving on you. Like, he's not that. He's that person that's going to always be there for you, no matter what. Even when you turn and run away from him, he's still right there with open arms. Like, it's okay. I forgive you. And he means that. You can run away from somebody.
Anybody else running in their seat right now? I'm running. I can't run right now, but I'm running, y'all. Mm-hmm.
Because
Look,
I've
been there.
I was there.
I've been there, man. I've been there. I know what it looked like, and he still was waiting. Like, you tired
Yeah,
yet?
exactly.
You tired yet?
Exactly.
I ain't never
Exactly.
same spot. I've been
Exactly.
tired yet? And as soon as you get tired, he like, that. Come on.
Exactly. Exactly.
Ooh-wee.
Yes. I was like, that's it. That's it. I'm tired. And that's why I told you that time when God really got me together, when I finally gave him my yes, it was like he put that mirror in my face and
Mm-hmm.
was like, yeah, this you. This what you've been doing.
And
But
then
because
now
but
tell me,
because I love you.
now tell me this. This is the hard part because this is where the maturity and the passion and the patience comes in, man. It's like I've taken so many L's and so many slams on my neck to where I have to watch myself whenever I'm mentoring others because that passion and feeling them slams on your neck.
Yeah.
I don't like seeing anybody go through that. But I have to remember what it took for me to
Yes.
get there.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I don't like watching. Still to this day, I
Mm-hmm.
don't like watching it because I've taken those. Whew,
Yes. Yes. And I
if
have
you could
people that
say yes to God out there,
just say yes.
yeah.
Because I have people, women, men that have reached out to me, but more so women, and they're just like, I feel this heaviness and I'm this and I'm that, I'm going through this. And I'm like, what is your prayer life like?
Mm,
Do you talk to God? Well, I don't talk to God like I should. That's it right there.
mm,
Are you allowing God to enter into your life? What are you still connected to? What haven't you released yet that is still holding on to you, that
mm-hmm.
the enemy still has?
Yeah.
My finances is held up because what are you still connected to? The enemy, what are you allowing him to keep you bound in?
Also, too, it's funny you said that. Let's stop. Let's park here for a second, man. It's so important with those connections
Yes.
because sometimes it's not even the enemy because God want to bless you,
Mm-hmm.
but He knows that the people that you connected to is not a part of that blessing,
Yes.
and God
Yeah.
will hold you from getting whatever it is that you waiting for that blessing. God
Yeah.
will hold you from getting that because
Mm-hmm.
you haven't let go or done what He asked you to do.
Exactly. Exactly.
He not gonna do it.
Exactly.
I never used to
Exactly.
understand with my mom and to be like, God don't bless no mess. I get it now.
Yes.
Whether it's a job you're holding on to, whether
Yes.
you're in the wrong relationship, whether
Yes.
it's having let go of anger, whatever it is, if you
Yes.
made that decision, God is not gonna bless you. And we'll blame that on the enemy.
Yes.
No, that's my disobedience.
That's true. That is very, very true. Because some people will say, "Well, how can God allow this to happen, or why would God allow this to happen?" And sometimes God allows things to happen because He needs to know that even in that storm or whatever it may be, do you still trust Him? Will you
Ooh,
still
come
praise
on.
me and call on me, even though you're going through what you're going through, even though you're in the middle of this storm, even though it don't look like anything that you want it to be? Will you still follow me? Will you still pray to me? Will you still trust me? Or will you say, you know what, I give up?
And look, let me testify because
Mm-hmm.
it all the way 100 on this platform. This is my first season in 38 years of living
Mm.
that I done went through a cycle, and I just said yes anyhow. I'm not
Mm.
going. I'm not going back. Take
Ooh,
money. You could take the job.
listen.
You could take the positions. You could take everything. You could take
Yes.
health. My back out of control. I'm not going back. I'm gonna be.
Listen.
So I know that I'm about to reach a place in my life that I ain't never seen before. This is a first.
Yes.
Yes, and I ain't going back to no crutches.
And that's what I told God. I said, God, I know what it looks like, but I'm not turning away. I'm not going back. I'm not giving up this time. So whatever this fight may be, if I gotta keep laying on the floor with my face laid on the floor crying every day, I'll do it. But
Cry
I'm not
that thing
going
out.
back. I'm not going back.
Cry it out.
I'm not going back. I refuse to go back to that. And that's why the enemy is like, oh, here I go. And so when I think about it, I think about the story of Job. Like everything that he went through, everything that he lost. But because he kept holding on and kept trusting God, he got everything back double.
Double time, man. Somebody type double time, man. Double
So it's
time, man.
like I'm not going back because I know when I come out of this time, because I was a different person and I was obedient, it's gonna be even better when it come back. And everything that comes and touch me now is safe because God gave it to me. When God sent me my husband, it's safe because God gave it to me. God said, I got my hand on this. And when I do it and when I give it to you, you ain't got nothing to worry
It's
about.
established. It ain't going nowhere.
Listen, because when God confirmed my husband to me, the one thing that he said was like, I'm going to protect it. I'm going to protect. And I believe that. And I believe that sometimes I'll be like, God, when you gonna send them? But either way, I'm still just blessed because now everything that I do
Mm-hmm.
is just so. It's like I sometimes I just laugh and I'm okay because when I was in the world and still stuck and lost out there, I would break down. I would be giving in. I would be like, it's this, it's that, it's that. Now I just be like, it's okay. God,
Mm-hmm.
I still trust you. God, I still praise you. God, whatever is going on, I still give you the worship and praise that you deserve because you are going to take me out of this. This is yours. When people say the battle is the Lord's, not yours, it's true. You
Mm-hmm.
have to allow God to fight that. You have to allow him to move those mountains. I sit back with a smile. I just smile at the devil sometimes, like, oh, you trying this again?
Here
Oh,
we
you
go
trying to
again.
do this again? Like, sir, it's different this time. It's different this time.
Hey, this is God gave me this one, and I held on to this one this whole season, man. This whole season. I'm about to go through the same cycle, but it's gonna be the different me. I held on to it the whole time.
Yes. Yes.
And to
Yes.
anybody that's facing a cycle, tell yourself, man, this time is gonna be a different you, man.
Yes.
This time is gonna be a different you, man. I'm
Hmm.
telling you, hold on, y'all.
Yes.
Hold
Keep
on.
keep
I'm
keep
telling
keep on praising, keep on worshiping, and fully submit to God.
you. Hmm.
Fully submit to God, even though because when you follow God, it does not mean the storms are not going to come. But what it does mean is they're not going to prosper. These weapons form is not going to prosper. The enemy can try to do any and everything that he wants to do because the enemy got to a point where he started trying to attack me through my body. Doctors diagnosing me with lupus and everything like that. And I'll see my body go through changes. I've seen things, but I'm still strong in God
Yeah,
because He is my healer,
yeah,
regardless to whatever they say. I still trust God. I still keep moving forward and knowing that I am still healed because I have God.
yeah. And it's okay. Now we gonna dive a little deeper too. It's learning to operate from the inside out and
Hmm.
not operate from what's going on the outside, allow
Exactly.
to dictate what's going on inside.
Exactly.
And that's the whole process of going through those trials and cycles and stuff so where we can start operating from the inside out,
Exactly.
allowing what takes place in this world to dictate what's going on inside.
Exactly.
Once
Exactly.
you get that, everything around you changes. Because now
Ex-
what's inside of me is controlling what's going on out here.
Exactly. Because I was like that. I was so, oh my God, this is going on. And God, this is going on. And God, this is happening. And God is still trying to talk to me, but I'm so worried about everything because the enemy wants you to worry. He wants you to be concerned. He wants you to not have faith. Like the enemy wants that. So I was in that. So now that I have God and now that I know who God is and I trust God, I just sit back like, God, have your way.
Yes, indeed.
Have your way. because the way you want it to move is how it's going to move. I know what it looks like. I know that the bills are behind. I know that this has to be paid. I know this has to be done. But God, I trust you anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
And when we don't see God move the way that we think that he should move, then it's like, okay, we give up. Oh, well, God not going to do it because God don't move when you say. He move when he feel the time is right because he's an on-time God. So
Mm-hmm.
when he's ready, and sometimes people say, well, I prayed and I did this and I wanted this, and God is like, it wasn't time for that yet.
Mm-hmm.
Were you ready for this? You're
Yeah.
not mentally prepared for this. Where was your faith at? You was asking me to do this, but where was your faith at?
Mm-hmm.
You were still doubting
Look,
me.
just like he did with Job. Do you know who I am? Do you know who you question?
Listen, exactly.
Do you know who I am?
Is and I was that person like doubting God of what God can do, and God is like, come on now,
Yeah.
I made this. I
Yeah.
created you. I own everything. I'm the source of the source. So I'm the provider. I'm the way maker. And sometimes people be so caught on like these jobs and things like that. And it is like, I need this job. And God is like, you need me. I'm who you need. I'm
It,
what you
it
need.
ain't even coming from where you think it is.
They
You
don't understand.
you got me so trapped in this box. You think the only way I can provide for you is 9 to 5, huh? That's who
Yes.
you think I am.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
That's who you think I am, huh? I didn't stunt ravens. I didn't stunt manna. I didn't, and that's who you think I am. A job
Yes. Yes.
9 to 5, huh?
Yes. Because when I lost my job, I was like, oh my God, like I lost my job. I'm not gonna be able to do that and do that. And God is like, I will provide, I will make a way. And it was like at a time where when I wasn't working, bills were still able to get paid, food was still on the table, God was still sending people to bless me. Like God was still making a way for me even when I didn't even know how or where it was coming. Because when God say, don't worry about tomorrow, don't worry about just don't. Because my faith and how I am with God now was like, how I don't know, God, God gonna do it.
And I'm pressing it because the time that we moving in, and this is where
Yes.
those go aside. The time that we moving in when you're not gonna be able to shop or you may not be able to do this, and we have famines and certain yo, we gotta get this stuff together now before all of
Mm-hmm.
that. We
Got to.
to trust him like where we ain't worried about this because we know God gonna provide every
Mm-hmm.
single thing. If
Yeah.
we don't have it now when it's good, when the AC still running, when you still, what is it gonna be when it get real?
Yes. Yes. And that's why it's good to have a relationship with God in the good and the bad. Don't just have a relationship and know God when it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, know
Oh,
him when it's good. I'm sorry, know him when it's good.
I,
Know him when it's bad. Know him when it's bad, when you don't know how. That's when you definitely push into God more.
yeah,
Because I've had moments where I was like that, and and my friends or my purpose coach would tell me like, you got to press into God more. And sometimes people don't want to hear that because I was one of those people like, I don't want to hear that. Like praying for what? It ain't because it ain't moving how you want it to.
I catch a tantrum. I tell you the truth. Like my wife had to help me with that. I catch a whole tantrum with it. You want me to praise God? You want me to go sing a song? And do you know how I feel right now? But I promise now, soon
Yes.
I'll be like, I love you, Jesus.
That's how it is.
No,
That's
now
how it is.
I love it now.
And the
Go to
enemy be
follow.
and the enemy be shook like, I just did all of this and she's still praising. She's still worshiping. She's still because he don't want to see that. He wants to break
Yeah.
you down. That's why I still praise and I still worship even in the storm because I'm like, God, it's you. And I know you're gonna get me out of this. I know you're gonna take me from this. So until you decide to move, I just gotta sit here and wait on you. It's the wait, and nobody wants to wait.
Oh Lord,
Nobody wants to wait.
that
And
old.
you have to wait.
Mm-hmm.
I was that person like, I'm tired of waiting.
Look, that weight produces the weight.
It does. Yes. Yes.
Learning how
Yes.
to wait, man. Hey,
Yes.
that
Yes.
that's when you find out.
Listen. That's
That,
when the faith is tested.
that's when
That's
you
when
find
your
out.
patience is tested.
Look, everything's
Because
good and sweet when everything is good and sweet. But when you gotta
yes,
wait,
yes, yes. Because I was at a point where I was just like, you know what? All right, God, never mind. I'm just gonna do it myself. And God said back, like, okay, let's see how that worked out. You'll be back. And as soon as I think that I did it myself and had it figured out, I'm back like, Lord, please just help me. And God is like, I know, because I told you to just wait on me. But because you want to go do it yourself and you think that you got it figured out. So
now,
that's why it's like, wait on the Lord.
now I'm like, if he ain't say move, I ain't move. He ain't say
That's all.
I ain't speak. If he telling me go work here, I'm gonna go work here. If he telling me quit here, I'm
Exactly.
gonna quit here. I
Exactly.
took too many
Exactly.
lows, man. I learned how to trust him, man. I
Yes.
how to trust him, man.
God did that with me. He had to put me to the point. He was like, you have no choice but to trust me and wait on me now. God had to deal with my patience because I had no patience. Like I wanted, because I was so scared of the physical and trying to do it myself. And God is like, hello, like I'm going to take care of it, but just wait till I do it. Just wait. And I always tell people and joke around all the time, like I was that kid that still want to put your hand in the cookie jar after you said don't put your hand in the cookie jar. And God is like, I told you to not do this. I told you to not do that. So now it's like, God, what do you want me to do?
Mm-hmm.
How do you want me to move? Is this what you want for my life? God, I won't do it unless it's you.
People always joke, but I just recently said that, and one of my friends that's on here, Shannon, one of my close brothers, I told him we getting to that point to where you got to be so sensitive to the Holy Spirit. If he tell you turn left at the stop sign,
Hmm.
you got to turn left at that stop sign.
You have to. If
Like
God say go, go.
it's really that serious.
It is.
But
And people, you have to have that relationship with God to understand it.
but that's what you talk about, that continual being in that prayer and that relationship, and treating him like that best friend, and that talking to him like a father. You have to be in communion with him all day,
You
and
have
you'll
to.
start to notice that your everyday choice is really all
Yes.
led by him. That's why they say
Yes.
if you walk in the spirit, you want to obey the lust of the.
Exactly.
It's it really is that serious, man. He lives in you. Get on
Yes. Yes.
and trust him. Obey.
Yes.
I promise, life change.
Greater is he that is in me. And that is so true.
Mm-hmm.
If you decrease yourself and increase God, you will start to see it. I was one of those people that didn't see it, didn't understand it, the relationship with God, how you can hear from God, talk to God. And, like one of my best friends who's watching as well, she would always tell me, like, sis, just let God lead you. And I'd be
Yeah.
like, what you mean? Like, I talked to God, but I still wasn't in that space where I had that relationship. But
Look,
now that I have that relationship, it's so different now.
look. A lot of things Mom and them used to say, I ain't understand it.
Yeah, and I tell people that
Understand.
now too.
Look, I understand it now, man. I understand it now, man.
Like my
And
grandma would
all
always tell me that.
acknowledge him, and he will direct your path, man.
Exactly. My grandma used to always tell me that. She would say, just pray, just give it to God, just let God do. And I used to just be like, but you don't want to hear that.
Yeah,
But now that my walk is a lot different now, it's like I understood what my grandma would say when she was saying it. Like
yeah.
just pray, or just give it to God. Just let God handle it. And I used to be like, when you're going through or you're dealing with stuff, that's not what you want to hear.
They trying to hear that, man.
That's not
My real
what you want to hear.
I ain't trying to hear all that.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I could always remember that. So that's why I always wear her everywhere I go. Because I lost my grandmother like 9 months ago, 10 to 9 months ago. So like everything that I remember, um, even before I got in my relationship, those things stick with me. Like now I get why she would always say that. Like just give it to God, just pray. You just gotta let God handle it. And I used to just be like, no, I want to handle it.
Yeah.
And it's like you can't handle it, that you can't do it your way. You have to do it God's way.
Now we have reached our closing. I
Mhm.
with it. Get ready. I'll let you prepare. Take your deep breath. Okay, here we go. Drum roll. If you were in the world's largest auditorium. You was on a PA system, and the whole world could hear you right now. What would you speak to the young ladies who may be in the situation that you faced or coming out of that situation? What will you tell them?
I would tell them, first of all, to let go, to let God in, to build that relationship with God. Trust God. It is not easy, but you will and you can come out of it. You will make it out of it. Hold your head high. Remember who you are in God. Don't let nobody lie to you. Don't let the enemy lie to you. Keep shining. You are not those things that the enemy tried to make you believe that you are. And you are not just a survivor, but you are a conqueror.
Y'all drop some hearts and share this live. If you was blessed by the live of Mile in My Shoes tonight, y'all show this young lady some love. Drop some comments for her to read. I'm gonna show some comments before we get out of here. If you was blessed, let her know that she touched y'all. Yes, indeed. Shout out to Coach. Shout out to Desiree. Shout out to Latoya in the chat. Look, shout out to Siobhan. Look, you got some love and support in here. Shout out to Yanni. Look, we definitely appreciate every single one of y'all. Look, these are real life topics that we talking about, real life situations that people go through. And I thank God for this young lady being obedient and coming through and blessing us with her testimony. Look, she touched my heart. She touched all of our heart. All the people that's going to see. Look, I can already tell there's going to be about a 20 clip video. So I got to get prepared to go to work on that. Look, I hope y'all was blessed. We had our brothers in here tonight. Shout out, Brian. I see you in there.
Yeah.
Joe, let me see. JDC. He was in there. He was definitely participating. Shout out to him. Look, I got my mom in the building. Shout out to Mama Deb. She said, love your spirit and testimony. Look.
Thank you. Thank you.
We got the older generation. Look, my big brother Shannon in here say blessings to you. Look, you blessed us all tonight, man. You blessed us all tonight. Look, those experiences that we go through, look, is not only for you, but it's to help everyone. And look, you blessed the body tonight, and that's what we're here to do. Nothing that you go through is in vain.
Amen.
To share that story and bless everybody else. Share the live. Look, 15 people on here right now. Share the live, and we going out with a song. I love y'all. Keep loving and keep giving. And look, we going to keep growing together, man. God got us, man. Y'all have a good night, man.
Life gets tough, said you got to keep fighting. And even though it gets hard, you got to keep striving. Through the fears and the loss, but the tears won't turn off. No, he hears your heart's cry. Hold on to his words. Lean on him. It gets better by and by.
And to my queens, I see y'all in a different way. It's more to y'all than posing pictures on your Facebook page. God giving power to uplift a man, to make a slave, speak life into our dreams, or tear us down and watch us fade away. Know your position, cause you're vital to the family structure. No replacing any mother. Careful how you treating love. Elegant, heaven sent etiquette is like no other. Her love is better than buttered biscuits right out the oven. Know who you are, don't let this world define. Shape or mold you, God's daughter, queen of nations. There's no box to ever hold you. Life creator, womb protector, heaven sent. Love injector, backbone, best gift ever. Worth more than hidden treasure. I speak life, cause this world is trying to turn you cold. Replace that heart of stone with flesh. We need your love to make us whole. Take back your crown and hold us down. Together, we won't fold. Get back to love how God intended. Change to make this family.
Even though this life is tough, said you gotta